Hi friends, welcome to a new watercolor tutorial. Today we are going to do a very simple loose background and we will add a figure to that. The primary focus is on adding the figure, and the loose background that we are creating today is this one. Okay, so we have created a very loose suggestions for tree and some loose shadows. And this process also in itself is very interesting. You will see it in the video. And this is a small figure sitting underneath the tree. We will see the details in the video. So let us go into the video. So we are going to start the practice. Okay. So I am using a cold pressed watercolor paper, 300 GSM, 100% cotton. You can use any cold pressed watercolor paper for this. I specifically say cold pressed because we are using a lot of wet on wet approach for this, and that approach works best with cold pressed paper. So let us make a very quick drawing, and as you have seen, the subject is very simple. We are making a big tree trunk here, and I am making a very loose drawing of it. I am not specifically focusing about the details, the overall shape, that is what I am looking for. I am using a dark graphite pencil for this. I usually use a soft graphite pencil for my drawings in watercolor. Okay. So here is the main part, the focus of this particular practice. A person is sitting here, that is the idea. So his hip has to be positioned somewhat as I have made the drawing here. Okay, and I think this is little wide, the hip went little wide, I am erasing it. And the upper body is leaning little forward. Okay, so the hip is on the ground or the base of the tree, and the upper body is leaning forward. That is the representation. And now let us connect the neck and the head. And he is probably looking forward. So he is sitting at the base, and upper body is leaning forward, and his neck and head is little forward, looking straight maybe, and his leg is little raised to match with the pose. So the upper leg and the lower leg, and maybe his arm is resting on the knee or resting on his leg. Okay, this is the basic idea. This is how we, generally sit when you are into some deep thought or you are relaxing under a tree. You may not see it happening these days because we are all into this urban way of living. So this is something that you may find it more towards the countryside or in the village side. This is the idea. Okay, so I think we have captured the idea reasonably okay. Since it is a box representation, you may find it little kind of a rigid. You may not find a lot of rhythm here because it is very kind of a geometric shape. Okay, but we will try to paint it later. So let us make the tree trunk here. I am using Payne's grey color. It's a cool grey sort of a color to start with. Okay, so this is probably this is the shadow side of the tree, and for wherever it gets some light, I am adding some warm colors. So what I am doing is, within the Payne's grey mix, I am using a little bit of orange or burnt sienna, whatever, little bit of warm color, matching warm color to that. Okay, you could also add a little bit of red. It is up to you. Basically, I am allowing the cool color and the warm color to sort of mix on the paper to create some interest. When the colors mix on the paper, it creates a lot of interest. So this is the base of the tree, and actually I don't want to spend too much of time on the tree, on the base and the details. See, I am using a Chinese calligraphic brush for the drawing, and now I have applied some water on the ground because I don't want to work too much on the ground. Okay, now that we are done with the land and the ground and the trunk, let us now make the the foliages. So I made the foliage area wet so that we get a very loose representation of the foliage. Okay, that is the idea. So without worrying too much, I am going to give a large wash to represent a big shape, or for the foliage. Okay, so we don't have to worry too much about the foliage in these kind of subjects. There could be certain trees where you may focus more on the foliages, but here I am representing it very loosely as a large volume. To get that done, the good idea is to wet the paper and use a large brush and represent a large shape for the volume and for the foliages. And wherever you have the edges, it could be a good idea to represent some some sharp shapes for the loose leaves or the edge leaves, so that overall as a whole it represents a complete tree. Some tiny branches could be good, just rather than a big trunk. It is a good idea to represent some sort of branches. So still I am using the same brush. It is a Chinese calligraphy sort of brush. It's a soft brush with a good tip, and you can use any soft brush with a good tip. I am not happy with this area, so softening it. Splashing some water. See, if you splash some water droplets, what happens is that when it dries, it pulls away some of the pigments from on the paper, and it creates a good texture. So you may have to practice it a lot. At least for some time, to get some reasonable result. I think we are pretty much okay with the trees now. I am not going to modify much on the trees. Maybe I will create some shadows on the ground, because let me see how this figure comes out. I am giving some darker colors for his apparel, for his dress. He is in the shadow, so a bright color may not suit well. Okay, so this is his shirt probably, and let us suggest his pants. And again dark color. See, the idea is to get the overall shape, not the details. So at this kind of a tiny level, we don't really want too much on the details part. We need to create a kind of a feel that somebody is sitting, a kind of emotion that we are trying to get, and we are not too much worried about the shapes or the color for the apparels, etc. I think now we need to suggest some shadows to match with the dark color of the figure there. So I am using some dark Payne's grey and blue mix color to suggest some shadows, and to match with the shadows I am also making some dark marks on the trees. See, everything should work as a whole. So there should be some sort of a synergy between all these elements. So I am adding some darker patches on the tree trunk, because we all know that the tree trunk is not very smooth surface. There are a lot of uneven the surface is uneven. Basically, there will be a lot of shadows on the tree trunk. So I think the tree trunk is reasonably okay. Now let us extend that dark shape and let us spread it out as a shadow. This could be the shadow of the foliage above, and let us make some more shadow. Probably I will also spray some water to soften it out. This is some warmer color, and let us soften it out by spraying some water. Okay, I think that is the best way to soften the things up. And it is loose, as we have discussed. The approach is loose. We are not going for details. Okay, I think it reasonably is working good. I don't want to spend too much time on that. We need to finish the figure now. Okay, so let us define some hairs. Okay, and that's it. And some we will then add some orange tones. We will add some orange tones for the exposed body part, the flesh. Okay, so this is orange. I used a color tube called permanent orange from the Camel artist watercolor brand. Okay, you could use any representative color. I mean, slightly reddish orange kind of a color here. And yeah, I think we are pretty much done. This is now a good representation of the subject, and hope you could learn something from this. Thank you very much for being with me in this tutorial. Hope you found it informative. If you are finding some value in this, and if you are finding it informative, please do subscribe and press the bell notification. And if you have any question, any suggestion for a topic or anything else, please write them into the comment box below, and I will surely try to respond to you as early as possible. Okay. And I would suggest that you continue these kind of simple practices a lot. The more number of practices you make, and the two, if you are less conscious about very specific results, I am sure that your watercolor journey will be much happier and you will improve a lot. So thank you very much, and we will soon meet you in another tutorial.